My name is Helen, and I'm 54 years old. For most of my life, I've lived in the shadow of my father's expectations. Expectations I could never quite meet, no matter how hard I tried. My father, Robert Crawford, built Crawford Manufacturing from nothing. Starting in a small workshop in Detroit, Michigan in the early 70s, he turned his metalworking skills into a mid-sized company that supplied parts to automotive manufacturers across the Midwest. Growing up, I spent countless hours at the factory. The smell of machine oil and hot metal became as familiar as my own home. I'd watch my father move through the facility like a king, workers greeting him with respect. Crawford Manufacturing wasn't just his business, it was his identity, his legacy, his entire life, and I was supposed to inherit it. There was just one problem. I was a girl. My father never said it outright, but I felt it in every interaction. When I asked questions about the business, his answers were dismissive. When I expressed interest in manufacturing processes, he'd suggest I help my mother with bookkeeping instead. When I graduated high school with honors and announced I wanted to study business and engineering, he looked disappointed. "That's a tough field for women," he said. "Maybe you should think about something more suitable." But I was stubborn. I got my business degree from Michigan State, then worked for various manufacturing companies, learning everything about operations, supply chain management, quality control, and finance. I married at 28, had a daughter, Emily, and balanced motherhood with a demanding career. Through it all, I kept hoping my father would see me as capable, as worthy of taking over his business. He never did. Instead, when I was 35, my father hired Marcus Chen as his VP of Operations. Marcus was talented, ambitious, and male. My father began grooming him to eventually take over Crawford Manufacturing, despite my greater experience. "Marcus has the right temperament for this industry," my father explained. "It's nothing against you, Helen. You're very competent, but running a manufacturing company requires a certain toughness. It's just the way things are." The rejection stung, but I buried the pain and kept working. I divorced at 42, Emily went to college and moved to Boston, and my father's health began declining. He refused to plan seriously for succession. Then, 3 months ago, everything changed. I was working as director of operations in Grand Rapids when Marcus called. "Helen, you need to come to Detroit. It's your father. He had a stroke." I drove 2 hours in a daze. At the hospital, Marcus told me my father would survive, but his recovery would be long. He might not regain full mobility or speech. Over the next 2 weeks, as my father slowly improved but remained unable to communicate clearly, I found myself thrust into running Crawford Manufacturing. Someone needed to make decisions, keep the business running, and Marcus looked to me. "You're his daughter. You have the authority here." So I stepped in. I met with clients, reassured employees, reviewed finances, and made operational decisions. And I discovered I was good at this. Better than good. I understood the business intuitively, saw problems and solutions others missed, and commanded respect. "Your father would be proud," one longtime employee said. "You have his instincts." But when my father recovered enough to return to limited work 6 weeks later, his reaction wasn't pride. It was suspicion and resentment. He called me to his office on a Tuesday afternoon. The stroke had left him with a slight slur and left-side weakness, but his mind was sharp. "Helen, we need to talk about the future of this company. I've been thinking about succession. I've decided to bring in your cousin, Robert Jr." The hope died instantly. Robert Jr., my father's nephew, was 38, with no manufacturing experience, no engineering background, no history with Crawford Manufacturing. But he was male and carried my father's name. "Dad, RJ doesn't know anything about this business. He's smart, he'll learn, and he has the right presence for leadership." I've been running things for 2 months, successfully. Production is up, we've landed 2 new contracts. You did fine as a placeholder, but running a company day-to-day under crisis conditions isn't the same as long-term leadership. This industry requires someone who can command respect, negotiate hard, stand up to demanding clients. And you don't think I can do that? A woman running a manufacturing company, it's an uphill battle. Clients won't take you as seriously. Workers will question your authority. It's not fair, but it's true. I felt something break inside me. "So you're handing the company to someone with no experience just because he's a man? He's family. He has the right temperament. And frankly, you've never shown the kind of commitment this business requires. You've had your own career, your own life. The injustice stole my breath." If you really believe that, I said slowly, then prove it. Give me 3 months. Let me run the company. If at the end you still think RJ is better, I'll step aside. My father studied me. You want to prove you're cut out for this business? Yes, fine, 3 months. But I'm setting conditions. Increase production efficiency by 10%. Secure at least one major new contract, and do it without any significant mistakes. No safety incidents, quality issues, or client complaints. The terms were harsh, designed to make me fail, but I nodded. I agree. Starting Monday, you're acting president. Let's see what you're really made of. That first Monday, I arrived at Crawford Manufacturing at 6 a.m. I walked through the facility, reacquainting myself with every section. The night shift supervisor, Carlos, spotted me. Ms. Crawford, heard you're taking over for a while. That's right. How's the night shift running? Same as always, though we've been having issues with Machine 7. Keeps jamming. Slows us down about an hour each night. Show me. Carlos demonstrated the problem. I asked questions about when it started, what they'd tried, how consistent it was. Has maintenance looked at it? They say it's working within specifications. That's not acceptable. We're losing productivity. I'll have our equipment specialist take a real look today. This gets fixed this week. Carlos nodded with something like respect. Over 2 weeks, I dove into every aspect of operations. I discovered inefficiencies accepted as normal, communication breakdowns between departments, equipment needing upgrades. But I also faced resistance. Dale Morrison, the production manager who'd worked with my father for 30 years, was most difficult. He openly questioned every suggestion. That won't work here. Your father tried something similar. The market's different now. With all respect, Ms. Crawford, I've been doing this longer than you've been alive. I know what works. And with all respect, Dale, doing things the same way for 30 years is why our efficiency numbers have been stagnant. We need to adapt. Your father put me in charge for a reason. Maybe you should trust people who've been here. I do trust experienced people. That's why I'm asking for your input on how we implement changes, not whether we implement them. But make no mistake, changes are happening. After the meeting, Marcus pulled me aside. You're making enemies. I'm doing my job. Dale has influence. If he decides to undermine you, he can make your life difficult. Then he can find another job. Marcus, I can't worry about hurt feelings. I have 3 months to prove myself. Over following weeks, I implemented changes. I reorganized production schedules, negotiated better supplier prices, instituted new quality control, met personally with top clients. The results showed. Production efficiency increased by 7% in the first month. Quality complaints dropped 30%. Worker morale improved. But the major contract I needed remained elusive. Then, in early November, Thompson Automotive put out a request for proposals for a 3-year supply contract worth over $5 million. It was exactly what I needed. There was one problem. Thompson had never worked with Crawford Manufacturing. My father had tried several times without success. I spent 2 weeks preparing our proposal. I analyzed Thompson's needs, developed competitive pricing, assembled a team to tour their facilities. The day before our presentation, my father called me to his home office. I heard you're pursuing the Thompson contract. Yes, it's exactly what we need. Helen, I tried to land Thompson for years. You're wasting time and resources. Or maybe I'll succeed where you didn't. His eyes narrowed. That's arrogant. That's confident. There's a difference. If you succeed, it doesn't change the fundamental reality. One contract doesn't make you ready to run this company long term. What would make me ready? What do I have to do to prove myself? He was quiet. I don't know if anything can. Some people are just suited for certain roles. It's not personal, Helen. It's just reality. I left feeling defeated, but also liberated. Maybe it was time to stop seeking approval and start succeeding despite his lack of belief. The next day, I walked into Thompson Automotive's conference room with my team. We presented with precision and passion. I answered tough questions, addressed concerns, made a compelling case. At the end, Thompson's CEO, Diane Foster, leaned forward. Ms. Crawford, I have to be honest. We've heard proposals from Crawford before, and they never impressed us. But this is different. This is thorough, innovative, and responsive to our actual needs. Thank you. We're committed to exceeding Thompson's standards. We'll make our decision within 2 weeks. Walking out, I felt hope for the first time in months. The call came on a Tuesday afternoon. Thompson Automotive was awarding Crawford Manufacturing the contract. I sat at my desk, letting the victory sink in. Then I called my team together. The entire facility erupted in celebration. This was the biggest contract in Crawford Manufacturing's history. I drove to my father's house that evening to tell him. "We got it," I said. "The Thompson contract. 3 years, $5 million. He looked surprised. "You actually landed Thompson?" "I did. And with this, I've met all your conditions. Production efficiency is up 12%. 0 safety incidents, 0 quality complaints, and now a major new contract." My father leaned back. "I waited for congratulations. Well done. I was wrong about you. Instead, this doesn't change anything." I felt slapped. "What? You've had a good 3 months. But running a company successfully for 3 months isn't the same as leading it through years of challenges. You've proven you're competent, Helen. But competent isn't the same as being the right person for long-term leadership. So nothing I do will ever be enough. It's not about enough. It's about fit. It's about understanding that this company needs a man." "Just say it, Dad. You don't think a woman can run Crawford Manufacturing. I think a woman would face unfair challenges that would make it harder for the company to succeed. You're not protecting me. You're limiting me." I took a breath. "I'm done trying to prove myself to you. I've spent my entire life seeking your approval, and it's clear I'm never going to get it. So I'm making a different decision." "What does that mean?" "It means I'm going to buy Crawford Manufacturing from you." The shock on his face was almost comical. "You're going to what?" "Buy the company. You've been talking about retirement for years. Your health isn't great, so sell it to me." "Helen, you can't afford to buy this company." "Actually, I can. I've been saving and investing for years. I have equity from the divorce, and I have access to capital through business loans and investors who believe in me." My father shook his head. "I'm not selling to you. If I sell, it'll be to RJ. RJ doesn't have the money either, and no bank would loan him enough for a business he knows nothing about. But they'd loan it to me because I have the experience and track record." I leaned forward. "If you want this company to stay in the family and succeed, I'm your only option. I'd rather sell to an outside buyer than watch you struggle and fail." His words hit like a blow, but I didn't let him see the pain. "Then sell to an outside buyer. But know this, I'm making an offer regardless. And if another buyer wins, I'll probably work for them because they'll recognize talent. Either way, I'm done living in your shadow, done begging for your respect. I'm 54 years old, and I'm finally choosing myself." I walked out before he could respond. The next 2 months were a whirlwind. I worked with my attorney to structure an offer. I met with banks and investors. I put together a comprehensive business plan. My father did put the company on the market with several interested buyers, but I'd anticipated this. I'd quietly reached out to key employees and secured their commitment to stay if I bought the company. I'd also spoken with major clients, including Thompson, and they'd indicated they'd prefer continuity in leadership, specifically my leadership. When outside buyers discovered that both workforce and client base were aligned with me, their offers became less aggressive. Meanwhile, I'd secured financing. A regional bank agreed to provide the primary loan. An investment group focused on women-owned businesses provided additional capital, and I liquidated my personal investments and retirement savings. In late January, I made my final offer. It was competitive, but included something others didn't: a personal letter to my father. "Dad, I know you don't believe I'm the right person, but I'm asking you to look at the evidence. I've proven I can run this company successfully. I've secured major contracts, improved efficiency, strengthened client relationships, and earned employee respect. You built something extraordinary, and I want to honor that by continuing it, by growing it. This isn't about proving you wrong. It's about proving what's possible. Give me this chance, not because I'm your daughter, but because I'm the best person for the job." A week later, my attorney called. "Helen, your father accepted your offer. Crawford Manufacturing is yours." I burst into tears. Relief, triumph, fear, joy, all mixed together. The closing was March 1st. When I arrived to sign papers, my father was already there. He looked older, tired, resigned. We sat across from each other at a conference table, stacks of documents between us. When it was finally done, when Crawford Manufacturing was legally mine, the attorney left to file paperwork. My father and I sat in silence. Finally, he spoke. "I still don't think this is a good idea. I know. You're going to face challenges I never had to deal with. People are going to underestimate you, doubt you, probably. But I'll deal with it. It's going to be hard. I know, but it was always going to be hard. That's not a reason not to try. He nodded slowly, and for the first time, I saw something that might have been respect. Not approval, but respect. Your mother would have been proud of you. It wasn't what I'd hoped for, but it was something. Thank you. Taking over Crawford Manufacturing was both exhilarating and terrifying. The first months were a learning curve, but I'd surrounded myself with good people. Marcus stayed on, Carlos moved into a supervisor role, and I brought in new talent. Dale Morrison ended up retiring 3 months after the sale. His replacement was Rachel Kim, a younger woman with innovative ideas about automation. Her first 6 months increased our production capacity by 20%. This is exactly what we needed, Marcus told me. Fresh perspectives, willingness to change. Your father built something great, but he was stuck in his ways. You're taking it to the next level. The Thompson contract led to more contracts. By the end of my first year as owner, revenue was up 35%. My daughter Emily came to visit in June. After touring the facility, over dinner she said, "Mom, I was worried about you. I thought maybe you were having a midlife crisis, but seeing you in that factory, how people respond to you, how confident you are. I'm proud of you." "Thank you, honey. I also need to apologize. I've always been closer to Dad because he was more available. You were always working, always stressed. I didn't understand why. But now I see you were fighting for something, and you did it." My father's health continued declining. By fall, he needed full-time care. I hired a nursing service and visited twice a week. One afternoon in October, he asked, "How's the business doing?" "Really well. We're on track to exceed last year's revenue by 40%. We're hiring 20 new employees next month." He nodded slowly. "That's good. Dad, do you remember when you said I needed to prove I was cut out for the business?" "I remember. I want you to know something. I did prove it. I proved it to the clients, the employees, the banks, our competitors. But I also proved it to myself. And honestly, that's what mattered most." He looked at me for a long moment. "You proved it to me too." The admission hung in the air. It wasn't an apology, but it was acknowledgement. "Thank you," I said. "Your mother was right about you. She always said you had more of me in you than I wanted to admit. She said you'd do great things if I'd get out of your way." He smiled sadly. I should have listened to her. In December, Crawford Manufacturing celebrated its 50th anniversary. We held a celebration at the facility. My father was too frail to attend, but I had someone video call him during my speech. Standing in front of over 200 people, I said, "My father, Robert Crawford, built this company from nothing. I'm honored to carry that legacy forward, but I'm also excited to write the next chapter. A chapter where we embrace innovation, value every employee's contribution, and prove that success comes from adaptability and openness to new ideas." The applause was thunderous. Marcus said, "Your father's watching the live stream. He's crying." I looked at the screen, and there he was, tears running down his face, nodding slowly. My father passed away in February, peacefully. At his funeral, I spoke about his legacy, his dedication, his strength. I didn't mention the years of being overlooked. Those were my battles, and they weren't relevant anymore. 1 year later, in March, I stood in my office and looked at financial reports. Crawford Manufacturing had just closed its most profitable year in company history. We'd expanded into 2 new facilities, hired over 50 new employees, and secured contracts with 3 top automotive manufacturers. I looked at a framed photo from last year's anniversary celebration. My father on the screen, tears on his face, watching me speak. "I did it," I said quietly. "I proved I was cut out for this business, and then I bought it, grew it, and made it mine." There was a knock on my door. Rachel poked her head in. "Helen, the team from Anderson Manufacturing is here for the facility tour. I'll be right there." As I walked through the factory, I felt deep belonging. This was mine, not through inheritance or permission, but through determination, competence, and courage. My name is Helen. I'm 55 years old, and this is my story about refusing to stay in the shadows, about proving myself not to gain approval, but to honor my own potential. My father demanded I prove I was cut out for the business, and I agreed. But I didn't just prove it. I exceeded every expectation, overcame every obstacle, and ultimately bought the company out from under the doubts that tried to limit me. Success isn't about making others believe in you. It's about believing in yourself fiercely enough to act, to risk, to claim what's rightfully yours. And in the end, that belief transforms not just your circumstances, but your entire sense of what's possible.